A very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on the Tuesday edition of the show. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Let me give you a quick rundown of what to expect on the show tonight. We will be talking about Aruna Quadri on the show tonight. He continues his rise in the world rankings for tennis. We'll also talk about preparations for the next African Cup of Nations. Patrice Motsepe has visited the next host nation, and of course he shares his thoughts with the media. We'll go there and also talk about CAF club competitions. Of course, we will not leave out what is happening right about now. The UEFA Champions League in both matches. It's halftime already. Probably the games should have resumed by now. You're talking about matches involving Manchester City. They are up against Atletico and, of course, Liverpool and Benfica. We talk about all of that as we move on. We will also talk about the ladies. Of course, the last game of the season to be played tomorrow. That's match day 14. We'll talk about that for you. We'll also talk about the eagerly anticipated, of course, participation of Tiger Woods at the Masters. Everybody has been talking about Tiger Woods. We've kept vigil. We've waited with bated breath. Will Tiger Woods participate? Will he compete at the Masters? We have the answer tonight. You have to wait. And, of course, you hear from the horse's mouth. And, of course, we'll give our thoughts on that as well. That's the outlook of the show. I urge you to sit back, relax, as we do what we love doing best, which is taking you on a trip across the money-spinning world of sports. Let me quickly introduce my partners on the show tonight. Sitting with me in the Lagos studio, Cote Idris is with me. Cote, good to have you back. We didn't get to do this last week.
Exactly.
But it's good. You probably wouldn't have been able to talk.
Probably, thank God it was a sorry Tuesday, but it feels good to be back. Me and some colleagues were saying today, the aftermath of the aftermath of the aftermath of the Super Eagles not qualifying is still spilling. So, but it's great to be back here.
All right. Also, let me quickly bring into the show Damilola Onifade. It's been a while. Maybe I should say Happy New Year. I don't remember the last time I had a chat with Damilola, but good to see you, Damilola. Good to have you on the show.
Yeah, Happy New Year. And it's coming at 8 days after the Super Eagles disappointed everybody. Good to see you again.
All right. Okay, we're not going to start with that because if we start, we probably won't finish. But let's start with the one that is heartwarming. Aruna Quadri is meteoric rise, steady rise, continued rise. You can use all the words that you have. Of course, just as it was predicted after his semi-final berth at just concluded W2F star contender in Doha, Qatar. Now the rankings has been released. Aruna Quadri gained 2 steps up the world ranking to occupy the 12th place in the men's ranking following yesterday's official release of the week 14 of the ITTF table tennis world ranking. Of course, he was the first African to reach the top 11, and his good run in Doha fetched him massive ranking points to rise from the 14th spots to the 12th spot in the latest ranking. And noteworthy is the fact that he overtook China's Wang Chuqin and, of course, Germany's Patrick Franziska to be among the top 12 players in the world. Let me just quickly go to Damilola. I mean, we can continue to wax lyrical about Aruna Quadri, but one thing that gladdens my heart, I'm very sure gladdens the heart of every sports fan, is his consistency.
Everything in this point was unpredictable.
There is little to say about Aruna that has not been said already. Over the last few years, he's been the shining star, the bright spot for Nigerian tennis, and to some extent, even Nigerian sports, particularly when it comes to individual games. Brilliant stuff. He went there last week. We all wanted him to go even further beyond where he got to, but then he lost at home. But then it's still massive leap for him from 14th in the world to be 12th in the world. And when you know how competitive table tennis is, particularly when you look at the Asian guys that, and then the Germans that are in the field, then you understand how big this is for an African. It is breaking record. It is breaking new ground for African players. And it will take a while for us to see an African player that will be this consistent, really, because the record he has made has been so massive. I just hope that we can use the window. I'm struggling to find the right word now, that Aruna is creating to develop the sport even further. Table tennis is a sport that has so much potential in the country. It's one of the easiest sports to play while we're growing up, and probably one of the cheapest to also get kids to play. I hope we'll leverage on it. But Aruna has definitely made a statement for himself. Whether we like it or not, he has broken new ground, and it will take a while for us to see anybody to play at this level.
Yeah, thank you, Dami. And let me come to you, Kennedy. Look, the fear has always been the rate at which this guy is going. Yeah. By the time he decides to say, okay, I'm done with the sport, are we going to get the system we're currently running? Yeah. Are there guarantees we're going to have more like him in the men's category, in the women's, you know?
I think that would be hard. The man has set a standard that
so high.
Only true person, not even, I'm not talking you're getting the support, I'm meaning to yourself. You're true, you're real, you want it as bad. Only that person would probably hit that height and probably more. Because getting to top 11, top 12 in the world is no mean feat in table tennis. If you check out the top 10, you always find the Hong Kong, Chinese, and all of that in that setting. Then, like Damilola mentioned, the Germans are also there. The reason why I went to join the German Bundesliga to further understand, fail while being amongst these guys, learn more from your failures, from your mistakes, and then you get to gather more. And then when you meet at the world stage, probably Olympics, World Championships, like we saw in Doha, then you can get to display what you are doing. In Doha, he actually went past 3 Chinese players. That is a feat that will continue to be said. Then he played the semi-final where he lost. Hey, the moment we saw that, we knew these points accrued would take him, you know, to some height. We're just waiting what height it will take him. Yeah. And then he was in a level, he dropped to 14 because of the disappointment. Then he rose back to 12. Now, this is table tennis. We're talking celebrating our own. I mean our true own. Yemi, if Aruna Quadri gets to enter Nigeria today and we find drums, we find people, we find supporters club all waiting at the airport to welcome him and dance with him all the way to whether his house or his hotel or his base or whatever, it is worth it, and even, you know, worth it even more. Yeah. This is a man that has hoisted that flag to the highest height. I'm sure if you ask them out there to celebrate by words, Aruna Quadri, they will surpass what we will celebrate, you know, Aruna Quadri with. This is the respect he's got. Esebrume comes to mind. At some point, Blessing Okagbari was well revered out there than we do here. We see her as one of them. Out there, they say as one of the top contenders, and that is what Aruna has become. Yeah. And the moment we start to being true with development, and when you do development, transition from the level of discovery to the level of being a proper contender, we will not get somebody like Aruna Quadri. Yes, somebody will go back to Atonda Musa. As of then, it was also looking like, who would take from Atonda Musa? Then we had Toriola. Toriola was the toast of everybody. Then we thought, who would take from Toriola? Now we got Aruna Quadri. Probably in no long time from now, we'll get somebody. But the height Aruna is setting, that's a height that will need trueness for anybody to surpass.
Yeah, and as a Nigerian, you would hope that we get somebody. But I have to agree with Idris that, look, you have to want it more. In spite of the fact that, I mean, we also have to give kudos to the Nigerian Table Tennis Federation. Yeah. But at some point, the individual must want it more. So kudos to him, and hopefully he will be able to stay on top. And maybe, just maybe, one day we'll be talking about him being the best table tennis player in the world. It is quite possible. All right, let's move away from table tennis and talk football on the African continent for the next few minutes. And of course, the biggest football tournament on the African continent is the African Cup of Nations. And of course, Patrice Motsepe, the CAF president, has visited Cote d'Ivoire, the host of the next edition of the African Cup of Nations. And of course, he's been sharing his thoughts with the media, his thoughts on the state of preparedness of the nation to host the next Cup of Nations. And he also reacted to talks about FIFA having a candidate, CAF having a candidate, and some people not wanting him to meet with the football stakeholders in the country. He reacted to all of these issues. Let's listen to him, and of course, we'll come back to talk some more on the next Nations Cup.
On 23 April, there will be elections. Now, the candidate who must win
le candidat qui doit gagner
must be the candidate of the people of Cote d'Ivoire.
Doit être le candidat des Ivoiriens.
I mean, this nonsense that there's a candidate of CAF, or for that matter, there's a candidate of FIFA.
Ou qu'il y a un candidat de la FIFA.
It's absolute rubbish. So I was told that when I come here, I mustn't meet the football people who, the club owners.
Il m'a été déconseillé de rencontrer des propriétaires de clubs et présidents de clubs.
So I have to meet them.
Mais je dois les rencontrer.
Because I can't come here and not meet everybody and anybody who's a stakeholder.
Parce que je ne peux pas arriver ici et ne pas rencontrer toutes les parties prenantes.
And they've got to tell me what is on their mind.
Very candid, Patrice Motsepe, of course, sharing his thoughts. And let me just quickly go to Dami. He talked about a whole lot of things, and, you know, we should be talking about the 2023 AFCON, the preparation, but of course it was overshadowed by all of these issues about him being accused, meaning CAF, and FIFA being accused of trying to pull the strings and putting somebody they want. And also, he also talked about the fact that he has to meet football stakeholders, and he has no favorite in all of this. But what's your take in all? I feel Patrice Motsepe, I like the energy and the vibes I get from him, and the fact that he's been able to bring all that he has achieved in the private sector into football. But this thing about CAF, probably FIFA pulling the strings of CAF, it's going to stick with him somehow, no matter how hard he tries.
Unfortunately, the FIFA poking their nose into African football didn't start with Motsepe. It started with Ahmad Ahmad. Unfortunately, he's coming on board, didn't do much to dispel those thoughts. And the reason is quite simple. Many still believe that Motsepe himself is in CAF today because he's the candidate of FIFA. And he has not done anything, really, to push himself away from that conversation, to separate himself from Infantino and, of course, the whole of FIFA policy. And the fact that he found that he saw the need to mention that in Cote d'Ivoire says a lot about either the damage that has been done to African football or the damage that has been done already by Infantino, specifically, and then FIFA, by extension, to African football. We now have an African football, not just the Confederation of African Football itself, but even within the different countries, where there is so much influence coming in terms of who FIFA wants to be the president, because at the end of the day, there is a connection. Don't forget the FIFA election is also coming up, and so there is some interest to CAF and to FIFA that whoever will be president in all these countries must buy into the candidate they want to support. And I think that's where all these conversations are coming from. In Nigeria as well, don't forget, we'll also be moving close to the Nigerian elections, the NFF as well, and those conversations are also already flying around. So you can't rule all these out, but if there is going to be a change, the buck stops on Motsepe's table. It's not enough to go across Africa and keep talking. No, they must see the action. Africa must come to a point where we believe that we can make decisions without the interference of FIFA. And between Ahmad Ahmad and up to this point under Motsepe, that distinction is not there. It's like FIFA is pulling their strings and they are just following. And I think that's quite sad. For me as an African, it's definitely not what you want to see of CAF.
Definitely not. Kane Idris, I don't know. I don't know, maybe it's the persona or the body language or his choice of words that I like, but anytime you listen to Patrice Motsepe, the vibes you get is this is a guy that knows what he's doing, knows what he wants. But then again, it's hard to shake off the thoughts about CAF now being
candidacy and all
CAF now being FIFA's puppet, all of those things. It's hard to shake it off. So do you think that will continue to affect how CAF is seen?
Yes, it will continue. I took a very long read on the whole, this marriage, CAF, from the time of Ahmad Ahmad, Isaiah to Ahmad Ahmad, then Patrice Motsepe. See, one of the things we should understand is the fact that Africa is trying to grow. Now we have a president, I'm a football person, a president who looks like he's so interested in Africa. He wants to see whether deep inside of him, he has a means or a hand to all of this. But what we can see is that he wants Africa to grow in, that geometric, way where you can be at par, if not with Europe, at least South America, Asia, and all of that. And then he gets to, he's friends with Amaju Pinnick. It's all there to be seen, because if you can be right here at the invitation of Aisha Buhari Cup, he was here, he stayed for days. Then Ahmad Ahmad is the CAF president, just the same way he was with Ahmad and now with Motsepe. Now, where are we going? The man wants African football to grow. You all are Africans. And you're saying there is the puppeteer and African football, African leaders talking about administrators in football are the puppet. No. We should see it from the brighter side. If you want to grow, you see somebody who is there at the top helping you you move closer. You get to listen, you get to... Now, last year, before the CAF, Cameroon 2022, talking about the Nations Cup, the whole talk of it will happen in Cameroon, that on one side. Now, Cote d'Ivoire, the election and all, there is this thing I put down, this nonsense of CAF and FIFA candidate. This was the same choice of words he used there. Sometimes when these words get to pour out there and gets to him, there is a way he vehemently, just rebuff it. It lets you know, why are we like this? Why are Africans not seeing the other side of things? That we want to grow. There is somebody at the helms of affairs who listens to African leaders talking about the administrators in football and wants to hear their yearnings. When the ESL was up, talking about European Super League, they said we don't want this, but they bought it for African football. Why? Probably if we pump in more money from wherever, African football will step up, especially club football.
In a nutshell, you're saying let's use what we have to get what we want.
Especially at the moment.
Good relationship.
Gianni is interested. Let us continue the fraternization.
All right.
Motsepe is
I get your point. It's a different way to look at it.
It's a different way. Probably we should look at it deeper.
But also you can't shake off all of this. But the larger picture is the next Cup of Nations. And he appears to be satisfied with what the Ivorians have put on the table. And he says, irrespective of who becomes the next FA chairman, things will go on the way it is supposed to go, because CAF, according to him, does not have a candidate.
That was the same way it happened with Eto'o. Just weeks to the Nations Cup, Eto'o came in as the Cameroonian president, and then we had a beautiful Cup of Nations. Right. So same here.
All right, we're done talking about the next Nations Cup and preparation for the next Nations Cup. Let's do something sometimes we don't like doing, but it's our job as professionals to talk about CAF club competitions. No Nigerian team in both competitions, but of course, we have to let you know what's going on. Both competitions are the quarterfinal stage. Let's start with the CAF Confederation Cup quarterfinal fixtures. Let's give them to you. Simba of Tanzania will be up against, okay, you're starting with CAF Champions League. That's what you have on your screen, so let's go there. Halali of Egypt will be up against Raja Casablanca of Morocco. Eton Setif of Algeria will be up against Esperance, proper North African derby there. Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. It will be. And another team from Morocco, Wydad, will also take on an Algerian team. Pedro de Luanda, the Angolan team, will also come up against Mamelodi Sundowns, the lone South African team in the lone Angolan team. All right. Okay. So let's, all right, this is the CAF Confederation Cup. You have Simba of Tanzania up against Orlando Pirates. We'll talk about the demographics later on, the teams from each of the countries. You also have Al Ittihad of Libya taking on Al Ali Tripoli, both teams from Libya. Pyramids of Egypt take on TP Mazembe of DR Congo. Al Masri of Egypt take on RS Berkane of Morocco. Let me quickly go to Damilola and get your thoughts. Well, in a way, it's easy to talk about this. You have no dog in the race. There's no emotional attachment to any of these teams, but it looks like the North Africans are really ready for these competitions. In some cases, you have 2-3 teams from one country at the quarterfinal stage. Then you have a sprinkling of one from Angola, one from South Africa, and it shows the direction, where the power is in club football on the African continent.
Yeah, I think you just captured it well, Yemi. Where the power is in club football. They own the CAF Confederation Cup, they own the CAF Champions League. But maybe when you're talking about qualifying for the World Cup, there is a different competition. But really, and it's also not, it's not by chance that they dominate this tournament. When you look at the strongest leagues in Africa, you probably pick all the North Africans before you even come to South Africa. And I'm not talking in terms of money now. I know the South African league, there's so much money, there's so much color. But in terms of competitiveness, I think the North African leagues are still the strongest in my view. You talk about Egypt, you pick Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, and then you can start thinking of South Africa. And so when you look at that, then you understand why they will always dominate this competition. Sadly, our record in this competition, and I mean Nigeria now when I say is not supposed to be this poor. I mean, if you can have a team from Angola, but why shouldn't we have 2 Nigerian clubs consistently in the latter stages of the Champions League? But again, it comes down to the product, because when you talk about club football on the continent, you look at your league. It's just a mirror of what is happening in your domestic league. And our domestic league at this moment, even though there is a professional word in the name, is very far from that in terms of reality. And that's what we see in the CAF Champions League. The North Africans, for a long time to come, will continue to dominate. They've been doing that, and I think nobody's going to take that shot of them anytime soon.
All right, it's hard to take, but that's the reality. Kind of just a quick one from you. Yeah. We've joked about it. Last 3 years, we start with 4 teams, it becomes 2 becomes 1, and even the 1 fails to get. I mean, I'm looking at Libya with all the problem that they have.
Yeah, Sudan.
Two teams. Yeah. Facing each other at the quarterfinal stage of a CAF club competition. Just a few words, so that we can go to other things. What can be done?
What can be done? I just want to tell them, like, even at the qualifying stage, they have two nations at the World Cup. That tells you of all the region in Africa. Hey, there's South Africa, there is West Africa, there is East Africa, and also North Africa. And North Africa have got 2 out of 5, so they're also doing so well. See, it is simple. When you're conscious about growth, you get to grow. These guys are conscious every day. Say, look at the women's football. They started very late because you understand how the North African, like the Arab world are with, women exposure and all of that. Now they've started. Do you know how they beat us black and blue? I'm talking of Rivers Angels at the maiden edition of the CAF Women's Champions League. They just started that growth. But they are always conscious. The kind of monies, the kind of stadia, the facility, the motivation, welfareism for everybody who is involved to grow. Then the fanship, the support. You need to see supporters on match day. If they are not wearing the jersey, they are wearing the color of the club, just to make you have a feel that you're part of this whole thing. Right. So it is what it is. If you cannot do all of that, then we'll continue to be behind.
Yeah, and you have no business running club football.
If you cannot.
If you can do all of that. All right, let's talk about the football on the domestic scene. The one Damilola says has professional in its name, but it's far from being professional, and no disrespect intended to the Nigerian Professional Football League. But it is what it is. We need to look ourselves in the face sometimes and tell ourselves the truth. All right. Match day 21, fixtures. Let's quickly go to that. Nigeria Professional Football League. Abia Warriors will take on Naimba. Dakada will take on Kwara United. Rangers International will take on Katsina United. Kano Pillars will take on Aqua United. All of these are match day 21 fixtures, matches to be played tomorrow across the nation. And let's move on. That's why United will take on Heartland. Remo Stars will take on MFM FC, proper Southwest Derby in that one. Shooting Stars, up shooting, some people will say. It's good they're back. Hopefully they stay up this time. Shooting Stars up against Gombe United. These are the fixtures that we will see this weekend. Again, let me go to... Okay, let me start with Kenny Idris this time. A minute or two.
Yeah.
Just talk about some of these fixtures that excite you.
I have here marked 4 games. Abia, Eimba, Oriental Derby. Then also, after that win for Eimba, I heard a lot of... They seem like they are back because of the kind of football they played. I want to see that continue, especially on the way to Abia Warriors. There is a whole lot for them to do now. Let them build on what they did in the last game. The next game, Kano against Aqua, I guess they should be said to be the biggest game if you go by pedigree. But if you go by form, it's not the biggest game. But we still want to see both teams go up against each other. Let's see who takes it. Remo MFM, this is the first fixture for both teams this season. And it went to in the way of Remo, visiting MFM, the 1-2-0. So I want to see if MFM can respond now going to Ikene. Then the last one, 3SC against Gombe. Number 1, this game will be tough for 3SC at home. Gombe is a decent team this season. Then number 2, it's always a beautiful thing if you watch night football again. So 3SC is serving us that. Let's see another night football.
All right. Hopefully the floodlights will not disappoint. All right, Damilola, quick one. Which venues do you think we should look out for to see beautiful football, or where you think an upset is going to happen, or games to watch out for? All right, we'll get Damilola's thoughts later on as we move on the show to tell us what he feels about the Nigeria Professional Football League. Let's talk about the ladies so that we don't get accused of leaving out the ladies. They've been making us smile in recent weeks. They look organized. Okay, Damilola is back with us. Before we talk about the ladies, Damilola, in a minute or two, we're talking about the Nigeria Professional Football League. You know the matches to be played. Which venues do you think we're going to get an upset, or if you're going to tell somebody to go and watch a football game that will be exciting, which venues do you think that will happen at?
I'll quickly pick 2 out. I think Port Harcourt will be very interesting. Rivers United against Lobby Stars. Rivers are, for me, the title is for them to lose. But then Lobby, with a change in coach and management, we also expect that they probably will give a push. And but then the other venue will be, for me, Abia Warriors against Eimba. That's a local derby, no doubt. And we want to see what Eimba will do. Eimba is quite disappointing this season, but let's hope. They got a good result over the weekend. Let's hope they can build on that momentum since this is the second round and pop up the table. So those 2 centers stands out for me.
All right. Thank you, Damilola. Let's talk about the ladies now. They're watching, and of course, we're not going to disappoint. Match day 14, the ladies, Nigeria Women's Football League. Let's see what we have there in Division A and B.
Yeah.
A lot has been decided, but of course, this match is still very interesting to see. That's why Amazons will take on Nigeria Raitels, Pelican Stars will take on Adamawa Queens, Ocean Babes will take on Edo Queens. I saw some pictures from the Edo Queens announcing their arrival on social media. Very, very interesting to see.
Well-motivated team.
Well, all right. In Group B, you have Royal Queens up against Delta Queens. Some people are already calling that the Delta Derby. Abia Angels will take on Sunshine Queens. Rivers Angels will take on Bielsa Queens. Of course, that's going to be at the Uniport Complex, 4 p.m. That's when that game will be played. Your thoughts in a minute or two?
That's the game of the week. Their games are played during the week. Rivers Angels against Bielsa Queens. See, the beef is still on. Last season, the maiden edition of the Women's Champions League, Bielsa still feel they should have been the one there. But for some reasons, Rivers are there. So they want to take it this time. Just last week also, they toppled Rivers United to be at the top of the Group B table. For the Group A, it seemed like nothing can touch Edo Queens. As much as Nasarawa Amazons are really up on their case, but it seemed like Edo Queens, with all the motivation, are coasting well. And I will keep saying it. Motivate your teams. They will give you results. For Edo Queens, equal pay with Bendel Insurance. For Rivers Angels, equal pay with Rivers United, and they are both doing well in the NWFL. Yep.
All right. Damilola, your thoughts, the Women's League and the matches to be played tomorrow?
I think India has just highlighted it. He has just some of the performance of the clubs. Rivers United, Rivers Angels, Bielsa Queens are the two teams that will definitely keep going at together as far as women's football is concerned. And so there is not so much to talk about in terms of the play. But for me, the interesting part is the way the Women League has seamlessly run, while the men make it look as if it is one rocket science to run it properly. For the women, when they give you a start date that they want to take a break, they are resuming. For whatever reason, there is no extension. Things run seamlessly, and we don't have trouble. We've not had the issue of not knowing who will win the league by the time the league has ended. For me, that's kudos to the ITTF-led team running the women. I'm not saying everything is perfect, but at least they're getting basic things right in terms of schedule, in terms of timetable, and getting the matches played. For me, that's some credit to them. But then the teams also have done well. We've not had too many crises. We've not had too many crises and then debate in terms of fairness. I think the referees have also done a decent job with the Women League. So all in all, it's kudos to the teams. At the end of the day, I just expect that the kind of league we've had, we should throw up a champion that will be able to compete on the continent. Rivers United last season, we are quite disappointing, and that was shocking. I hope that this season, whoever emerges champion will be able to do better on the continent.
All right, that's the hope. Especially if we feel that we are ahead in women's football. I mean, it was a nightmare what happened to the ladies, knowing the gap that still, exists between Nigeria and others, even though the gap has reduced drastically, but we still know, arguably, Nigeria still leads when it comes to women's football. All right, let's go to Europe now. Talk about the UEFA Champions League. Interesting things happening in the two venues where matches are being played. Let's talk about Benfica and Liverpool. 2 goals in the first half for Liverpool. Ibrahima Konate and Sadio Mane. But of course, Darwin Núñez has scored for Benfica, so it is 2-1. Manchester City and Atletico, it looked as if Atletico were going to be able to lock things up, but Kevin De Bruyne had other ideas, got a goal for Manchester City. And talking about these games, the fact that the away goals rule is no more in operation, it's pretty straightforward. Yeah. Just win. Just outscore your opponent.
Outscore your opponent.
That's it.
And I said it before playing. I said probably Liverpool would have gotten the job done right there in Portugal before even, the second leg in England. But I love the fact that Benfica are not laying there to be taken. 2-1 is still is.
And 79 minutes of football play.
77.
Yeah.
Let's see if they can get anything. I am foreseeing with the way the game is going, probably we would have a proper match in England. Then for the Man City Atletico game, everybody wanted to say this. And it's just befitting that the first goal is just coming in not too long, from where it is now. So this fight will continue in Spain, trust me. It will be a massive one, in the second leg.
All right, let me just get Damilo's thoughts. Pre-game interview, Pep Guardiola says, I've been accused of overthinking and all this, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Meaning, even if he's playing away, he's going to play the same way he will play at home. Against Atletico, do you think that will be risky?
I don't think so. I don't think it will be. For me, maybe I saw the first half of that game before the show started, and I think I was disappointed with the way Atletico approached the game. In a tournament where away goals never come, they played like a team that is just looking for that one away goal and then sit back. I expected them to give a bit more attack-wise. I don't think it's risky because Atletico does not know how to play. I mean, you have to go for it. The truth is, anyone that wins tonight has the advantage because the away goal is no longer there. So it's not a case, if you lead 1-0, you go there, all you need to do is still outscore your opponent and then you're good. And how do you score if you don't attack? For me, I don't understand what Atletico is doing. I would not criticize Pep for this. For me, the overthinking of Pep is not even the style of play. It's the deployment of his players, like he did in the Champions League final last season. Not playing a proper defensive midfielder against Chelsea. For me, that's overthinking. But not the approach. The approach to the game, I'm comfortable with it. I mean, for a neutral like me, that's why I want to watch football. I don't want to watch 11 guys that are not willing to come forward, just sitting back and taking in the pressure. From that point.
All right. Kade says he likes the fact that Benfica seem not to be lying down, even though it appears like there's a golfing class between Liverpool and Benfica. But the fact that they've pulled one goal back and you still have more than 10 minutes of football to be played and the way goes rule is not there anymore, it means it's still open.
Very open. And that's what football should be. That's what a proper team that has belief should do. They're playing against Liverpool. They are at home. Even though they were 2-0 down, they have to go for it. Because at the end of the day, the second leg is going to start as 2-1, which means you still have the advantage of equalizing and then winning the game at the end of the day. Because there is no away goals rule here. If you score one in England, which is quite difficult though, and then they score him 2-2, then you go into extra time. So I love the fact that they're making a game of it. 2-0 for Liverpool make the second leg look almost done. And I don't want to see that in the Champions League quarter-final second leg game. You want that by the time the second leg starts, both teams still have a chance of qualifying. That's what makes football the game that it is.
All right, that's what makes it the game that it is. Although a lot of people are questioning why did they take away the away goals rule? But we'll see. We'll live with it and we'll see. All right, let's talk about tomorrow. Matches to be played tomorrow. Interesting matches to be played tomorrow. And it doesn't get bigger than Chelsea, Real Madrid. A lot of people already talking about that game. Chelsea have been able to keep their troubles behind them and playing, well, apart from the collapse over the weekend, they've been able to keep it. So Chelsea, Real Madrid, Villarreal, Bayern Munich. Let's just quickly listen to the Chelsea manager, Thomas Tuchel, speak ahead of that game that we'll come back to talk some more on the UEFA Champions League.
Needed. Yeah, we absolutely need it, and we need to be better on the pitch. We're the first to admit it, but we need the crowd to be better and supporters to be better. It was like this. We need everybody on the front foot. It's a big match. It's quarterfinals, and it's a big opponent and in a big occasion. We had a day off, which was maybe also necessary to digest it. We talked about it, but no special talks, no special team talk. We talked openly about it, which we, in a debrief, which is very usual for us. we set the new targets. That's what you do in sports, no matter if you win or lose. It was a crucial loss, of course, and we absolutely did not like what happened. It was very untypical for us, so we consider this also as the exception of the rule.
All right, Thomas Tuchel there, saying the right things. We're about to go on a break. Kane, a quick one. Chelsea, Real Madrid, in 30 seconds. What do you think will happen?
I'm foreseeing the same thing that happened last season.
Chelsea.
Yes, Chelsea. One of the things I respect about the Chelsea team is the fact that they've got character. When you take that out of Chelsea, there is nothing else left. It's not like it's a fantastic team that plays super football. But the character, discipline, I think they've got it enough to edge Real Madrid.
And the manager that knows what he wants. Damlola, so that it doesn't appear like we already have, what we think is going to be the outcome between Bayern and Villarreal. Let's get your thoughts. But it does appear that a lot of people feel that the German giants will probably be a stroll in the park. But I want to get your thoughts quickly, if you can, on that older game.
We've seen a few shocking results go against Bayern this season. And so I wouldn't be overtly surprised if that happens, because Villarreal is also a decent team. They're not a bad team by any shape, really. But on paper, you expect Bayern to take it. The risk in taking away the away goals rule is that it kind of makes it very easy, because at the end of the day, the goal now is to outscore your opponent. And for me, that makes it a bit tricky for Bayern, considering the fact that they have the occasional off days that they just blow everything away. And I hope they won't. I want Bayern to qualify. I would like a Champions League semi-final where the four teams are equal, not necessarily having one underdog. I don't want to see that personally. I prefer a Champions League with all the big boys. So Bayern in the semi-final, a Real Madrid in the semi-final, a Man City in the semi-final, Liverpool in the semi-final is the kind of semi-final I want to see.
All right. You've made your predictions without me asking you. So next time I see you, I'll write it down. Next time I see you, I'll bring it up. All right, let's leave football. We're about to wrap things up on the show. The sporting world has been waiting with bated breath to see if former world #1 Tiger Woods will participate at the Masters. And when he showed up at Augusta National training, everybody was waiting, and it was working well and everything was looking good. And it didn't come as a surprise when he confirmed that indeed he was going to play. Indeed, a cat with 9 lives. He has survived countless number of things that any other person probably wouldn't have been able to come back from. And of course, as it stands, he will compete at that event. So let's see if he can add to the majors that he has won. 15. Let's see if we will be able. But of course, we know golf is not the same without Tiger Woods. The buzz, the excitement with the news that it's going to be, that he might be playing at this tournament, it's been something else. But Damlola, let me get your thoughts, your parting shot on the show. Tiger Woods, cat with 9 lives, exceptional human being, always coming back from things that probably will be the final for probably that will end other people's careers.
I agree with you. I mean, he's a cat with 9 lives, and that's why he's Tiger. But I also think it also confirms that beyond the talent, there is this skill in the man. There is this doggedness. There is this spirit of perseverance. There is this will to do it and to be a champion, to win, that makes him who he is. If it's just about the talent, he probably would still not be here today. But there is that thing beyond the talent that has been carrying him. And I think that's what I'm seeing on that chair that he's sitting, talking there. You could see the determination. From what I could read in his body language, the focus is not even about winning. It's about coming back to play. And that's the first thing. And Tiger is a sportsman, exemplary sportsman. There is a part of his life you don't want to copy, but there's so much as well in his life that you really want to embrace. And you want to show a youngster that is how to be a genuine superstar.
All right. Damilola, I want to thank you for your time on the show. Hopefully we get to do this again some other time.
Pleasure, Holly. Thank you.
All right. Kennedy Idris, I'm told we have to go, but your thoughts quickly on Tiger Woods in a few seconds.
Yeah, whenever Tiger plays, we love it. When we saw the father, son, you and your relative, him and Charlie came on playing, everybody wanted to see Charlie. But it was because he's the son of Tiger Woods. Now, after the accident, he's back. Hey, anytime Tiger plays, we all want to watch.
All right, as we go, let's just let you know that Liverpool has scored another goal. Luis Diaz, the Colombian, making it 3 for Liverpool, and the second leg might just be a walk in the park. But you never know. Football has taught us so many lessons. All right, that's it right there on your screen. It's about to end right there in Portugal. Okay, so that's it. That's the show today. But first, I want to thank Kennedy Idris for his time on the show. As usual, conversation never ends. We take it out of the studio.
Course.
Thank you for being here.
It's always a pleasure being here.
All right. That's the show today. Thank you for allowing us into your homes without knocking on the door. It's a privilege we will never take for granted. We'll be back here again tomorrow. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.